Hi folks, this is going to be a quick one. The Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act of 2020. If you received a PPP loan, this video is extremely important for you. Probably the most important out of all the PPP videos you ever gotten, because this particular potential amendment to the PPP program changes everything. Not everything, but it changes a lot of the timelines, and it changes the potential actions that you can take. Now, this is a bill. It passed by the House, 417 votes to 1 on May 28th. This is not a law yet. It needs to still be passed by the Senate, remain unchanged, and then be signed by the President. This could take anywhere between a week and 2 more weeks because of the timing on how the Senate gets back to vote and how long it takes to get on the President's desk. But this is going to pass, or some form of this is going to pass. Keep in mind, the Senate had already had a bipartisan agreement in principle to extend the program from 8 weeks to 16 weeks for the covered period. But this particular law, or this particular bill, changes it to 24 weeks. So let's talk about the details around that. I'm going to put a link on the below in the description where you can go check out the bill yourself, or the House resolution bill yourself. And it's a pretty short one, probably a page and a half long, and it covers all the details I'm about to cover. So you should read it for yourself, obviously interpret it for yourself, and cross your fingers and hope it does get passed. But let me go through real quick the bullet points of what's in this potential amendment to the PPP program. So number one, it extends the loans themselves from 2 years to 5 years. So almost everybody, like 90% of the people that have received the funds already, there's only a couple $1 billion left, and probably $50-60 billion left in the program. So there'll still be some people trickling in to get the rest of the funds. But the vast majority of people took out a 2-year loan for the PPP program. Now this is going to be a 5-year loan. It is unclear to me whether the current holders of the loans will get an option from the banks to expand it to 5 years. I assume that everybody that has a contract and a note already, it would stick with 2 years, but every new PPP loan might be 5 years. We'll see how that plays out. But that's the intention of the bill, is to extend it from 2 to 5, because if you get an unforgiven amount that needs to be paid back, a 5-year loan will be more flexible in terms of monthly payments than a 2-year loan would. The 8-week cover period, the original CARES Act tells you that you have to spend all the money within the 8 week, is now going to get expanded under this bill to 24 weeks. So now you have 3 times as much time to spend the money, right? So you could technically spend a third of the payroll each of the 8 weeks. Now it's going to be 3 times the original cover period and have the exact same effect. So you're going to have a lot more time to spend the same amount of money. It should make it a lot easier to achieve forgiveness through payroll. Now, this doesn't change how the FTE calculations and the wage reduction calculations behave. I did another video, which I'll put the link below. It's a pretty long one, where I explain how that works. There's a lot of math, a lot of mechanics, but long story short, you get more time to spend the money, right? Or you get more chances to spend the money on what you need to spend it on. This is going to help the companies, the businesses that have not been able to open through May, or that are partially open through May, or kind of ramping up to start their operations in June, July, etc. It will give them a lot more time, 24 weeks from funding date. That's 6 months, right? Or almost 6 months to spend the money. So this is going to greatly increase the chances of getting your loan forgiven, because in a 24-week range, you will have a lot more time to spend the same amount of money. Now, it's not going to give you more money, not more funds. It'll give you more time to spend it. Now, they also will extend the coverage period of the loan from June 30th all the way to December 31st, which will also, or probably also, change the safe harbor dates. So the date that you're going to be using to have potentially prove that you brought your employees back after laying them off due to the economic crisis, you're going to have all the way to December 31st. So you have plenty of time to bring your employees back. I didn't put a bullet point of this, but they also added some additional ways you can exempt specific employees from the calculation because they had a specific skill set, or it was really impossible to hire a person with that skill set or that specific experience. Set back. Not sure how that will work in terms of proving it, but it will allow you to exempt that specific layoff because you couldn't replace the employee. They also are allowing you to exempt bringing employees back if your business has not been able to ramp up. So if your business has not been able to get back to your pre-February 15th, 2020 level, so you shrunk the business significantly and you can't bring the employees back for whatever reason, you'll be able to exempt your FTE calculations and your wage reduction calculations. Also, if your business shuts down and you can't hire people back because you're completely shut down, you will also have exemptions to your FTE and wage reduction calculation. You still have to spend the money on payroll and non-payroll covered costs in order to get it forgiven, but at least it removes those particular bodies or those specific headcounts from the forgiveness reduction calculation. Again, I know that's a lot of details. If you attended my webinar, and I'll put a link on the description below, I explained that in very, very heavy detail. That's not going to change. You still have to do an FTE and a wage reduction calculation and potentially get a reduction because of that. But now you have a lot more time to spend the money, and now you have until the end of the year to bring your employees back. So it will be now, if this passes, now the new snapshot date to take a look at how many employees you have or what your new wage levels are, is going to be December 31st. So that would be a great thing if they do. The other thing that they're passing is they're changing the 75-25% rules, and now they're only going to require 60% of it to be payroll expenses. Now I'm going to make a caveat to that. The reason why I'm reporting this like that is because both CNN is reporting the 60-40 ratio, and Fox News, right, to be balanced here, is also reporting the new 60-40 ratio. However, if you actually read the bill, which I did, it's 1 page long, there's nothing on this bill that talks about a 60-40 ratio. So I'm a little bit confused, honestly, where the media is getting this information. I don't know if maybe a senator or a representative, rather, said it on a news channel and that's where they got it from. But if you actually read the bill, it says no limitations. So in carrying out this section, administrator may not limit a non-payroll portion. So if you actually take the bill itself and read it word for word, there isn't a 60-40 split. There's no split. That means you could technically use the money 100% for rent and utilities and not payroll. But for whatever reason, both CNN and Fox News is reporting 60-40. Many people are reporting 60-40. So I'm going to stick with the crowd here and say there's a new 60-40 split. So you can spend up to 40% of your PPP money on non-payroll expenses such as rent, mortgage interest, and utilities. You will also, the new bill will also allow PPP borrowers to also take advantage of the payroll deferral program, which was originally in the CARES Act. I haven't done a webinar or a full video on it. I will be posting one on YouTube soon that explains how that program works. But essentially, it allows employers to not pay the employer portion of the Social Security for employees for 2 years. So you can actually, on Q3 coming up for 2020 and Q4 coming up for 2020, and even you can even get a refund for Q2 as well. So you can have 3 quarters, Q2, Q3, and Q4 for 2020 and not pay or get a refund on the Social Security taxes that you have paid for already. And instead of paying that, it basically becomes a 2-year interest-free note or a loan from the IRS, and then you have 2 years to pay it back on the following payroll, end of the payroll Q4 for 2021 and end of the payroll 2022. So I'll do a webinar or a video detailing how Section 2302 of the CARES Act works, but this always existed or has existed since CARES Act. What this bill does, it allows PPP borrowers to also take advantage of that, where before it was either this or the PPP. Anyway, I just wanted to quickly go over those things, and hopefully, because it's not law yet, you will keep that in mind. Don't take any action immediately from there, but at least hopefully this will help you with your PPP expenditure planning. So watch out for this actually becoming law. If it does become law, I will not do another video about it because there's no changes. If it becomes law and there's some changes, then follow up with my channel here. I will do a video with whatever passes into law. For the time being, even if it doesn't pass into law, we're a week and a half ahead of it passing into law. It'll be really nice for you to know it and keep it in mind for your plans. Anyway, I hope this was useful, and I'll see you on the next one.